myself, my name is Patrick Phillips. I'm the founder and CEO of American Business Systems. There's our website at the bottom of each slide. If you haven't been there already, maybe you were invited to this by somebody else, then you can go take a look at what we've got there on our website. We've been doing this, believe it or not, for 26 years. That's right. We've been on the internet and doing this live for people for 26 years now. My wife and I started doing medical billing way back in the early 90s, and when nobody else was doing medical billing for doctors. And when we started billing for doctors and making lots of money, people asked us how we were doing that. So we developed training materials and marketing materials, and we figured out how to actually build a business. So if you are here to find out a little bit more about that, that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to go into detail in that here in just a second. Before I do that, though, let me see. I'm going to go ahead and put that back up there and tell you a little bit about, I forgot the slide. There it is. I'm also a best-selling author. You can go out to Amazon and find all of these books that you see here that I've published out there and written. You'll also find that I'm the member of the editorial board of BC Advantage magazine. That's a print magazine that's sent out to everybody that's in billing and coding. That's what the BC stands for. And it's been out there for many, many years, has over 40,000 subscribers. And of course, I have articles in that on a regular basis as well. I'm also on the National Advisory Board for the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. And that's been around for a while. And it is what certifies the people who go through our training. So when you get through our training, you actually get a certificate from MRMA that tells that you are a medical revenue manager, which is way beyond the medical billing. But we'll go into the detail on that just a little bit further. So basically what we have, folks, is a 100% cloud-based software that basically you can hook up from any device that's connected to the internet. You don't have to have any software or apps on your phones or your iPads or your computers or your tablets. It runs on any platform, Windows, Mac, Apple, it does not matter. And you literally are working through the cloud, through an internet connection from anywhere in the world, 24/7. So we'll go into a little bit more detail when we talk to our guest about that. It's won many, many awards. Folks, our software has been in development now for the last 20 years, and we continue to improve it and increase the utility of it for doctors as well as for our licensees. And again, it's been tested and proven and has won all kinds of awards all over America. Now, we've taught people from every possible background how to start a medical billing company, but it's much more than that, as you'll find out. Anyway, these are some of our licensees from coast to coast that I've interviewed. You'll find a lot of those interviews out on our web site and also on our YouTube channel. So with that, let's introduce our guest today. I've got his picture here, but I think he's got a live webcam that he can turn on. So let's just see if Jaye Beattie is anywhere close by. There he is.
Hi, Patrick. How are you?
All right. Hey, you are live. And you know what? I think you're working out of your home today.
Yeah, I always work out of my home. This is part of the best, well, actually the best part about being in the business, being able to work remote right out of your house.
Yeah, doctors don't care where you're working as long as you collect that money for them, huh?
That's correct.
Now, you used to have, I remember about a year ago, I did an interview with you, Jaye, right after you had completed the training, I think, shortly after, and you had, wow, you had an office at that time. So what happened there?
Well, actually, it was funny because I was in my home office, which is still around the corner.
Oh.
But in the lovely days of COVID, my wife works for Hewlett Packard, and of course now she's working remote out of the house.
Okay.
So based on the hours she puts in at work every single day versus me, she's taken over the office. So I'm able to work, as you know, anywhere in the house or anywhere I want. So for the most part, she's working inside the office that you saw in the last interview, and I'm actually sitting at our kitchen table talking to you today. So you can kind of see Santa in the background. But that's a nice part about the business. You can work remotely anywhere.
You know, I've had people tell me they've gone on a trip to Hawaii for 2 or 3 weeks, and they just work from the hotel there, as long as you've got a Wi-Fi connection, which is about anywhere nowadays, you can hook up, can't you?
Yes, I do the same thing. I bring my laptop everywhere I go, and as long as I have my laptop with me, I'm able to get work done.
Not that you want to work when you're in Hawaii, but it's nice to know
Yeah,
that you can at least oversee some of the people. I know you outsource some of your billing. You don't do all the billing yourself now. You said that you've outsourced that to other people. So that's the nice thing. They can work from their home as well. And you just basically monitor them using the technology that's available nowadays.
that is correct. I use Ring Central, their services, and there's an option there called GLIP, which is very similar to instant messaging and Outlook. So I've set all my teams up, different teams on GLIP teams, and I watch and I see the communication going on, and I jump in when I need to. But that's one of many ways that I just monitor my teams and the work that they're doing.
Yeah, our company uses the Ring Central also. It's a what's the best way to describe that to people? I guess it's a virtual office. You have your own phone lines. You can transfer calls to different people.
Yeah,
It sounds like you're a big company when people call in and they don't know that you're just working out of your home.
that's exactly right. I mean, they have so many different services you can choose too. So it's a menu. You can choose which one fits for you. I use their screen sharing service, their phone service, their instant communicator service. So there's so many you can use, and you don't have to use them all. So from an operating cost standpoint, it's very low in terms of cost, but gives you the same capabilities as you mentioned to provide that full-fledged business operations resources to your clients.
Yeah. Now, folks, and if it hasn't dawned on you at this point, Jay is somebody who has looked into our business just like you are looking into it right now. He probably watched, didn't you, Jay, some of the interviews that I did with other of our licensees?
Oh, quite a few.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I use that term licensee, but folks, it just means you're licensing our whole system, our software and our marketing methods and so forth. But we refer to our licensees now, Jay, just as business owners. Our business owners, like you, went through the training. You did that, like I said, almost 2 years ago now, I guess now. And
Yep.
of course, you were here local, and we have you're over in the Dallas area, and we had local live training in the hotel, didn't we?
We did. We did. So you're right. It was beneficial for me, excuse me, because I'm right in Louisville, which is about 15, 20 minutes from Keller. And that's where the trainings were taking place. So I had a little bit of a benefit that a lot of people didn't have. I was able to drive to the training and back home every single day. But it was a great training and very worthwhile.
Yeah. Somebody asked, I guess they missed the first part there as to who I am. Yeah, my name is Patrick Phillips, Lonnie, and that's kind of unusual, I know, to have the CEO of a company actually doing this type of thing. But you know what? I've done this for 10 years now, at least, Jay, and it's because I love hearing the stories and talking to people like yourself who've been through our training. And now, as people will find out as we go through this hour, you've built quite a business for yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been probably has exceeded my expectations from first getting into it. I'll tell my story in a second when you're ready, but it's been extremely worthwhile. Very happy.
Yeah, you told me before we got actually on the live webinar that you really didn't dream you'd be making the kind of money that you're making now. And we won't ask
No,
you for details on that, but it's turned into a nice full-time income for you, hasn't it?
it has, and quite frankly, as you know from our conversations, I retired and was just looking for something to keep me busy and bring in some extra money, and probably looked at 20 to 25 different business models.
Oh,
Things
wow.
that, yeah, I had a list of criteria that for me to do this, get back and owning my own business again. Um, every one of those criteria I had to check the box. It had to fit. And I think ABS was, and I'm not just saying this because we're on the screen together, but it was the only business model that checked all those boxes. One of them being the ability to be able to work remote, be in a virtual business, not have employees if you don't choose to. You can have employees. A lot of our business owners do. But for me, it was more of a part-time opportunity, bring in some extra cash, keep myself busy, and it's just flourished. It's turned out to be, in terms of personal revenue generation, it's far exceeded my expectations.
That's good to hear. I hear that a lot as I interview licensees. We've actually got people, Jay, I don't know if you've heard some of my interviews with licensees who've said that they've reached seven-figure revenues.
Yeah,
So yeah,
doesn't
it's
surprise me.
it's an unlimited amount of money that you can make, depending on how hard you want to work, how many people you want to hire, and so forth. But you can also keep it small, just like you have. You've just got the 2 clients still, you said. Uh,
Yep.
and I'm going to get into that just a little bit here because I've got some questions coming in already from some of our listeners. But let me just ask you, Jay, give us a little feel for what you were looking for in a business, why you chose this over some of the others, and what you were
Right.
doing before you got involved with us.
Well, I had worked in the security industry for over 20 years. I worked for Brinks for a little over 14 years. And then Brinks and ADT actually merged. Brinks Home Security and ADT actually merged under Tyco. Tyco purchased Brinks and merged us. We were the 2 largest companies in the security industry. So I ended up now working for ADT and worked with that company for another 7+ years. And then retirement came up. I decided to retire, and I did. And then just after about 6 to 8 months, got pretty bored. I didn't know. I was pacing the house. I didn't know what to do every day.
Yeah,
And I still want to keep myself busy. And I knew in my position with ADT and Brinks was first field, but then corporate sales and operations executive. So I was very familiar with how to run a business. I had full P&L responsibilities with both companies. So I knew how to run a business, and I really wanted to look for something that kept me somewhat busy on a day-to-day basis. And if I wanted to grow it larger, I could. I had a personal income target that I was satisfied with and I wanted to meet. Um, and when I was looking at different business models, as licensing opportunity is different from a franchise opportunity. The benefit of a licensing opportunity is the franchise like to take percentage of your revenue every single month, right?
yeah, yeah.
Sales, marketing revenue, and I was a franchise owner in the early stages of my life, and the licensing opportunity attracted me because ABS, we'll use ABS as a great example, is like a franchise. It gives you all the tools and resources to be successful in your business. But as you are successful in that business, they're not really sharing with the success of revenue that you're generating, right?
Right.
Which to me was a great opportunity because I knew that if I just followed the yellow brick road, right, and didn't try and reinvent the wheel, listen to the guidance of ABS in terms of all the resources, materials, trainings, videos that you can watch, and then talking to our third party partners as you're showing on the screen and getting educated about all these different services and how we can actually consult a private medical practice in terms of improved revenue, improved P&L, and operating efficiencies. I could do this. And I didn't have to be educated on medical billing or coding or credentialing, and certainly didn't want to be the guy doing the collections, right?
Right.
It's not why I get into this whole thing. I got into it to be able to create a business, form my teams, and a lot of my teams are actually our third-party servicing companies that you're seeing on the screen. They do all the heavy lifting and work. Um, the benefit for us is they're doing it for our clients and they're getting the business from us, connecting them with our clients. So, we get a little bit of a bump and pay for that. Most of our revenue comes from billing, but we do make some money with these other third-party companies as well. And it's a great retention tool. The more services that you can have your client accept of what we do, the greater the retention of keeping those clients. Because if they ever decide to go somewhere else billing wise, there's a great possibility they're going to lose all these other opportunities, and they're not really willing to do that, right? So it fit, the whole model fit my criteria. I told you before, part of my criteria is being able to have a virtual company, work remote. I didn't want employees. I didn't want all those headaches again. Basically, I had contractors that do a lot of my work, and then working with our third-party services companies. I wanted to have and this is a big one based on what we're going through today. I wanted a business that was recession-proof. So something came about. Was this business going to still be viable, still be alive,
Right.
and not have a struggle or take a hit or lose the business? And COVID is a perfect example. We haven't missed a beat throughout the challenges that we've experienced with COVID. So that was another checkbox. And then being able to have a recurring revenue model. I didn't want to have to be that guy that has to go out and look for business and generate revenue every single month. I wanted to be able to bring on clients and retain those clients and have a recurring revenue model, which this is, that I could simply manage the business with my teams and with our third-party service companies and have the revenue coming in on a month-to-month basis. So, and I could go on and on with the criteria, but those probably were the greatest parts of my criteria list that had to be satisfied. And ABS met all those.
Yeah. Now, Johnny is asking, how long did it take you to get your clients that you have?
Yeah, so I came on board. I will say I went to training at the end of October in 2018. And I didn't really start marketing my business right away. I spent some time doing due diligence and continuing education. There's only so much that ABS can train in a period of time, but if you utilize the LSS, which is the learning system, there's so much information, so much documentation you can read, so much videos you can watch to continue to get educated and fine tune your expertise per se. And I set up calls with every one of our third party service companies, and I just wanted to know why them as opposed to a client choosing somebody else, because I'd have to tell that story and I'd have to convince them. Yeah. This is the service you want. And here's the reasons why you want to use us. So they were very, very good about having calls with me. And the other benefit of that is I got to know the contacts there, right? So if I ever had questions in the future, ABS has a support line you can call, which is great, or I could call them direct, my contacts there, and continue to get educated. So I educated myself thoroughly, and I got my website set up, I got all my documents set up. So I didn't start marketing the business probably till the end of January, beginning of February. And I used a certain marketing strategy and technique. And I got my first client in April of 2019. I got my second one in June. And I have them today, and it's flourishing. They're doing great. Wow. And they're
so you started in, say, February marketing, and then you had both of those clients by June. Yeah. Now, right. You're a perfect example, Jay, that I've got a lot of folks who are retirees that find that this is the perfect business because they don't have to build it any bigger than they want to, and you've kept it fairly small, even though I think I understood you say that you're getting a fairly decent revenue. One of your doctors is billing. How much did you say one of the doctors is billing each month?
Well, for example, we just closed out the month of November, and my one practice, we collected $335,000 for them.
Wow.
Yeah. $330,000
in 1 month.
1 month. So they've probably been averaging anywhere between, that was a big month for them, but they're averaging anywhere between, I would say, 225 to 335. That's probably our highest month so far. But it's funny because it doesn't surprise me that this is the highest month, because when you get into billing, you really get to understand the trends that are going on in the business with regards to patients. And most of these patients are working out their deductibles in the first half of the year. And then the second half of the year, they paid them off. So everyone's kind of like now going for the big appointments, right, that are expensive. So that, the insurance companies are paying the vast majority of it now since they satisfy their deductibles. So, I watch the trends because I've run businesses for 30 years and I'm used to doing that. And I'm noticing, not that the first half of the year is not lucrative, but there tends to be a little bit of a spike towards the end of the year where most businesses are quiet in November, December, around the holiday season. That's not the case with our business. They
Right.
keep going throughout the last 2 months of the year, calendar year.
Overall, most of our business owners say that they like to get started right at the beginning of the year, because that's when doctors are looking back at the previous year and regretting that they didn't do what they could have done to maximize their revenue. And so they look at it as a fresh start. It's time to get going here. And so a lot of our people who are looking at this webinar today probably are thinking, maybe I should wait till after the first of the year. No, you should get your training done right now during December so that you can get hit the road running, in January.
Which, unbeknownst to me, was a benefit of when I came on board with ABS. But that makes perfect sense. And what's funny about what you said, they do look at their business, and someone who knows how to manage P&Ls. And I will tell you, no offense to any of the providers out there or practice owners, but in terms of being very good business people, I really haven't tripped across one yet. They didn't go to school for that.
That's right.
It's not that they have all the knowledge, and Dr. Rackner's books points this out. They don't have the knowledge about how to be a good operating and efficient business.
That's
They
right.
need that knowledge. They need that mentoring, that expertise. And that's actually where we come in. So when they're struggling and they feel like they should be making more money than they are, in most cases, they're not sure why and what is the solution. How do I fix this? So the benefit of us coming in and doing practice analysis really surfaces a lot of things for our clients. That answers that unknown, that mystery for them of why aren't we doing better than we are? Why are we struggling so much? Why are we having so many people work here? And
Now, William is asking about how do you get paid? So can you kind of explain to people who don't quite grasp, that you're getting a percentage of what you collect for the doctor, right?
right. So there's several different ways you get paid based on the services we offer, but the billing is where the vast majority of your revenue is going to come from, to Patrick's point. So basically, we offer a percentage of the actual revenue collected. So there's chargeable revenue, there's collectible revenue, right? So you're going to send out chargeable revenue to the insurance payers, whether it's commercial or government, and they're going to pay what they have agreed upon through their contract with the providers. So our job is to make sure we're maximizing that collectible revenue, because I will tell you, God bless the insurance companies, they're in business to do what they do, but they don't want to just offer everything they have to pay. Sometimes they do what they do according to contract, but sometimes there are administrative things that really impact the rejection rate that are there, that they're just not going to come around the corner and say, hey, by the way, the reason we're not paying you is for this. You really have to know what the reason is and fix it and get that revenue for the practice. So the benefit for the practice is there's a built-in incentive for us to have an agreement with them that says our fee is based on a percentage of revenue we collect for you. And that satisfies them because they know we're going to work our hardest to get them the maximum amount of revenue they deserve. And then we get a percentage of that.
Yeah, if they're using their own staff, of course, their staff doesn't get a percentage of everything that's collected. That's just not done in a doctor's office. So they don't. You're right. They don't have the motivation that you do, because every dollar that you collect for the doctor, you get a small portion of that, and it is a small portion. What is it? 6, 7, 8% maybe. Depends on the doctor.
So, it depends upon the practice. It depends upon there's strategies in terms of your pricing that you'll learn as you continue on. But Patrick's right. It could be, in my opinion, in my business, is between 6 to 8%, right? But there's a lot of it depends on type things, right? That will determine what that percentage is. and the practice analysis. And then when we come back after the practice analysis and we put all the information together and we generate our proposal, we run our numbers and put together a revenue report, that's the time you're going to figure out what the percentage actually is going to be, which you're going to present to your client, right? And you'll have full comprehension, understanding to be able to explain to them why is it this percentage as opposed to another percentage. But it's Patrick's right, but typically between 6 to 8%.
Yeah. Now, folks, I'm watching the question box here as we're going through this. As you can see, I'm answering a few questions for people. But if you want to ask somebody who's actually been through our training, who did their due diligence, researched the business, decided to get into it, and is now, making a decent living with it, this is the time to ask Jay, because he's here today. And as far as I know, he will say anything he wants to say, because I don't have any control over what he says at this point.
I'll be careful about that one.
In fact, Jay, you said earlier to Adam and I that you had taken a couple of calls from people. So Jay is one of our licensees or our business owners who decided that, it is such a good thing. I don't mind sharing with other people. And that's because, Jay, you don't look at anybody else as a competitor in this business. There's too much business out there in there.
Yeah, I personally, I look at us, all of us as a team. And I think we can learn from each other, share best practices with each other, and continue to work and collaborate with each other to be able to make our individual business successful. This isn't a competitive thing within our network of business owners. This
Right.
is, like Patrick said, you take a medical specialty, go on LinkedIn or go on yellowpage.com and search for practice owners or doctors of that medical specialty. There are tons of them. I mean, a vast amount. And that's just one medical specialty. There's a vast amount of different types of medical specialties. So the greatest part about this business, which is another criteria for my check boxes, was that there wasn't a lack of opportunity or a time where the well would dry up in terms of opportunities. And that was another benefit about this business. There's a vast number of opportunities out there in terms of providers, private medical practices that you can help and you can go after as business owners. And I'm a big advocate, to Patrick's point, of all of us sharing information, what works best, what's your best practice, what's your strategy, how did you propose this, so on and so forth, because there's different situations that occur with different practices. And if people who are in it together and have that, I would say, tenure or experience, it's great to be able to reach out to other folks in our network and say, how'd you do it? Or what's your thoughts or what have you? And share opinions. Have to do it.
Yeah, I actually brought up here, I think I've got it open. Well, maybe I lost it. Anyway, I'm going to show the Facebook group, because folks, we have our own Facebook group. It's a private group. I think there's about 150 business owners that are a part of that group. Anybody can be a part of it that wants to be, and you can join that. And once you do, you can correspond with other business owners and ask questions. And if you've got a particular question that you want to ask, and our support is 100% behind you to support you anytime you want to email us or phone us. But other business owners usually can answer those questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is, well, we are the nation's largest network of medical billing company owners out there. All right, so Leon is saying, can you go through the process of collections? That is, $1,000 medical bill, a certain amount of that, of course, is covered by the insurance. And from this point, can you explain the process going forward? So I'm not sure exactly what he's asking there, but I think it has to do with the billing itself. And you are not billing, of course, for the $1,000 because the insurance only covers a portion of that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think you're speaking on a per claim basis. So if you meet with a provider, you actually complete your appointment with the provider. They're going to bill the insurance company for that visit. How much they bill, of course, has nothing to do with the patient, but it has to do with what they do with the patient in terms of time spent, procedures, whether it's an in-house appointment procedure or whether it's a surgery. That information is going to be submitted via a claim to the payer, whether it's commercial or whether it's or government payer. And then the payer, based on the agreement they have with the provider, and this is where credentialing comes in, it's a whole other story. The agreement that they have with all their providers, not just one, but all their providers, they're going to pay a percentage. Now, there's other criteria that comes into play too, is whether or not the patient has a deductible, and if the patient is satisfied with your deductible. So you could actually bill out a claim for $1,000, and the patient may have a $2,000 deductible, and they haven't satisfied any of it yet. So that entire responsibility for the payment of that appointment may go right to the patient. Or it could be a co-insurance where the patient's only paying 20%. But there's a lot of benefit programs out there where the patients don't pay anything. It really depends upon what their benefit plan provides. The actual payer knows that. And what part is the insurance going to pay for, and what part is the patient going to pay for? So it really depends upon the circumstance.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, there are licensees, of course, who use our system to actually bill the patient portion as well. The doctor wants to collect even that small 20% or whatever the insurance doesn't cover. And of course, you can get paid on that as well because you're providing that service to the doctor. So you can be the total revenue manager for that entire practice, can't you?
Absolutely true. And with our service partners and Quick Collect, yeah, we have that service. I will tell you, practices are not very good with collecting patient responsibilities. When you look at the AR, we handle the insurance AR, and we make sure that the insurance companies are paying it. The practice typically is responsible. Now, I know some licensees actually do the collections for their client. I do not. The practice actually does the collections, and then we come in and counsel them and say, if you've got a patient that goes past 90 days as a no pay, then bring in our services, our collection service, because we'll pick it up from there. And there's a whole process that our collection service goes through, and it's a very good patient experience type process where we're not creating a negative relationship at all through this process, but we're notifying the patient through a process of what their responsibilities are payment wise, and that we're looking to collect that. And the practice doesn't have to spend their manpower doing that part of the collections, which is the most time consuming. The people who are going to pay within 90 days, they're going to pay. It's the people who don't want to pay end up going past 90 days. And that's when the experts come in, the collection experts come in to be able to maximize the opportunity of collecting from those folks, right? So that's one of our, and Patrick's showing it right now, Quick Collect, that's one of our services that we offer to take that responsibility off their plate so they can focus on bigger and better things in patient experience.
Yeah, because their revenue comes from seeing patients. And if they're spending a lot of time behind the scenes dealing with the insurance companies and the patients, trying to collect the money they've already earned, then that takes away from the time that they can spend earning money from seeing new patients.
That's right. And quite frankly, I claim, as part of the services and capabilities of iClaim, we can send out electronic patient statements every single month. If the practice chooses, one of those services when you're setting them up, which both my practices do, I mean, it'd be silly if they didn't. Basically, we electronically handle sending all the patient statements out every single month of what the patients owe. So again, those patients who are going to pay, they're going to get the statements. They know that they owe the practice X amount of money, and they'll pay, and they're good at doing that for the people who are going to pay. It's the people who are challenging to get to pay are the ones that actually get past 90 days, and that's where our collection service comes into play.
Yeah, so the nice thing about the way you're doing it, Jay, is again, you have contractors basically that are doing the billing for you, at least for one of your clients. You're keeping your finger in the pie, so to speak, on one of your clients so that you know what's going on, so you can train other people and deal with questions and so forth. But the nice thing is you could have a dozen clients at some point and have all of the contractors doing all that billing for you, and you're just collecting a check each month, I guess, from what's
Yeah.
done. Yeah,
Well, I mean, it's just like any business owner, you're going to oversee and monitor, excuse me, and manage the business. But I didn't get into this opportunity, which was another checkbox for me, to do billing every single day. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to have the business where I could formulate the teams that are going to do each respective part of the business, and I want to oversee and monitor and manage it. And that's what I'm doing. Patrick's right. One of my providers, I'm doing the billing myself because there things change and you always learn something new. But
yeah,
how do you monitor and manage a team if you're not sure what they do? So I like keeping my hands into the billing piece, and continuously doing that for one of my providers, just so I continue to learn. But the vast majority of the billing is not done by me. It's done by my billing team. I have a credentialing team. I've got a coding team, which is really, when I say my team, it's our third-party service companies that we're using.
yeah.
And I've just set them up in terms of relationship with my client. So they're doing all the work, and we get a percentage of what they earn, what they make, um, by connecting them with our client. That's more recurring revenue. It's what Cynthia Anderson in her training calls mailbox money. It's not a great amount of money, but it's still money. It's still, money coming your way without having to do anything.
Right.
Once you set everything up and connected our third-party service companies with our client, your vast majority of your money is going to come through the bill.
Yeah, it's coming from the billing, no doubt about it. Because, like you said, if you just charge even, well, gosh, even 6% of 330,000 is a lot that you're bringing in from that one client.
Mhm.
Uh, so here's a good question though from Pete. He's asking this specifically. This gets down to the nitty gritty here. How long does it take to make back your initial cost? So Pete, let's call the initial cost your licensing fee that you pay to ABS, of course, to get our training. We have 10 modules now that we go through, about 15 hours of training, one-on-one with an instructor over the internet, just you and that instructor. And then after that, I was showing earlier some of the training modules that are out there on our licensee support site, which, as you know, Jay, has, gosh, maybe 100 or more hours of training, further training out there if you want to get into depth on any particular subject. But how long did it take you, do you think? Have you kind of estimated that in your mind from the time you got your first client, for example, or started billing for them at least? Have you made back your initial licensing fee?
Oh, gosh, yes. I mean, so I had an ROI model that I built, just to track just that. And, my ROI model, I added a few $1,000s outside of licensing to cover the initial setup of the business, right? My website, professional services, my lawyer reviewing all agreements, and even subcontractor agreements, right? Or contractor agreements, I should say. My CPA, Ring Central, getting everything set up that I needed to do to be able to start the business. So got plugged in at around 30,000 in terms of that was my initial investment, and tracked it, the ROI, how long it would take to get that back. And I got that back in the first year, easy. Now, what everyone's going to say, well, how long does it take? It depends. It depends upon how quickly you get your prospects, and you got to have a very good marketing strategy coming out of the gate, because getting the prospects is step one. Once you get the prospects, the processes are all in place, to be able to set all these folks up and set your business up. But getting the prospects is the key thing. Excuse me. So I got my first two prospects, as Patrick said, in the first 6 months of 2019. But there is a process, and ABS explains this very well. And even iClaim EMRX powered by NextGen. NextGen will explain to you. Yeah, it could take 60 to 90 days to get your client set up in NextGen, right? To have access to iClaim and EMRX and every capability it has. It could take 30 days. It depends upon the client. Your client may already be using NextGen, which is iClaim EMRX, right? And we're going to just transition them over to us, which reduces the amount of time. So there's so many factors involved with how quickly you're actually going to start doing the billing. Now, the other thing I'd keep in mind, you got to do the billing for 30 days to start actually getting money back, right? Because you're going to bill on a monthly basis of the collectible revenue. So there's a time factor here that all comes into play, and there's certain criteria, right, that will make situations different, right? It just depends.
Yeah.
But the first step is very important in getting your prospect, getting your clients. That's the aggressive approach coming out of training that you really need to take when you're ready.
Yeah. And Pete, my understanding of small businesses like this, if you get from the red ink, in other words, your investment until you show some profit into the black ink, that's averaging about 2 years for most small businesses. So to get a return on your investment like Jay did in a year, that's good. That's a good timing.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Flora's asking, what kind of training does ABS offer and how long? Flora, I'm going to get into the training right towards the end here, where I'll give you a little overview of our training that we do for licensees. But as you saw from some of the drop-down menus that I was going through there on our licensee website, we've got ongoing training. In fact, we had a training, I think, last Friday for our business owners. We have those on a regular basis, 1 or 2 a month at least. And that's ongoing, and because there's always something new to learn and some new service that we're coming up with for our licensees. So, okay, so Rachel says, how long, Jay, before you were able to establish your first client? I think we mentioned that earlier. From February when you started till June, you had your first one, and then August the second one, something like that, or April
No,
and June.
actually, I landed my first one in April,
Yep.
and then the second one in June.
Yeah, so within 60 to 90 days, basically, Rachel, he had the 2 clients that he has. Let's see. Lonnie is saying, Jay, I understand that you started from scratch, correct? He mean with no medical billing background, I guess. Can you please share your process once you concluded the training for getting your first client, and how did ABS training and resources assist in that process? What did you do to get that first client?
So I think what's most important in marketing and prospecting is work smart, not hard. And what I mean by that is, and part of my responsibility as AET and Brinks was I was responsible for sales, the entire sales division, and that's inclusive of the national trainings and what we would teach our reps in terms of their own prospect. So I knew from years of experience that and I'm going to kind of explain this in terms of the rifle approach versus the shotgun approach. The rifle approach, when I say the rifle approach, that's door to door. Some people call it, like ABS calls it, direct market contact. Cold calling is what most people understand it as. That's the most time consuming and challenging ways to get a prospect, but it should not be ignored, right? Then there's the shotgun approach. And the reality is that anytime you're in a position where you are offering a product or service, the time frame of getting that prospect will be dependent upon a numbers game. So the more people you get your information in front of, the greater the opportunity that you're going to land somebody. So I took a specific marketing strategy where I was very savvy in LinkedIn. I know LinkedIn very well. You could probably look me up in LinkedIn. You'll see. You'll see how many connections I have. So I've been in LinkedIn, but LinkedIn's not hard to learn or understand. And they have their own seminars and webinars that you can join to learn how to use all the capabilities of LinkedIn. But LinkedIn is the greatest resource for business networking out there. You're not using it, now's the time to do it. And probably those of you who are savvy are probably shaking your head, yeah. LinkedIn gives you the opportunity to be able to search for prospects and communicate to them. You can connect with them. You can send a message to them while you're connecting to them. You can wait for the connection to come through. Then you can send your message to them after the connection. If they're not connecting with you, you can pay for the premium service in LinkedIn, and you can send them emails. And those are messages to folks you're not connected with. So I utilize yellowpages.com, and I utilize LinkedIn, and I utilize direct mail. So I put a direct mail piece together with a cover letter that was very specific in terms of generating the interest, need, and desire for someone to want to speak to me. It has to be short, sweet, to the point, right? And ABS gives you all the dialogue and all the information to use in these letters, right? And the RCM flyer I used along with that, and I used a one sheet of explaining all of our services, the name, the benefit, or excuse me, the name, what that service does, and the benefit to them. So it's very quick reading for them. So my strategy is basically blasting out in LinkedIn every single day, just searching for, let's say, your medical specialty that you're going to go after first and foremost. And I would advise everyone to understand what medical specialty you want to go after, because you can become very good at that, right? If you're focused on one medical specialty, find what it is. And let's say it's OBGYN, right? You can search for all OBGYN doctors in a specific geographic area in LinkedIn, and they'll all pop up. And you can look at every single one of their profiles. And from that, you can connect with them. You can send them a message. You can probably, if they connect with you, you get more information. You get their personal email address, you get their website, you get all kinds of things. But you don't have to wait for the connection in LinkedIn. You can basically Google them and they will come up and their practice, and you can go to their website and learn more information about them. So you can start to try and connect with, and I'm going to emphasize this, the business practice owners and the doctors who work in that practice. Those are the folks you want to connect with, because you want to bypass the gatekeepers. That is time consuming, and that's working hard, not smart. And you don't know if your information is ever going to get to the decision maker in the first place. Now, not everybody's in LinkedIn. That's why I coupled researching in yellowpages.com and LinkedIn, because I looked at everybody in yellowpages.com, then I tried to see if they were in LinkedIn. Those folks that weren't in LinkedIn, or the indicator, and I'll explain the indicator in LinkedIn, whether they're LinkedIn savvy or not. You can tell if someone's LinkedIn savvy or not by the number of connections they have. So if someone's got 25 connections in LinkedIn, they're not looking at LinkedIn every single day. They may look at LinkedIn once every 6 months. But if someone's got over 1,000 or over 500, you know they're pretty savvy in LinkedIn. That there's a good chance when you send a message, it's going to come up on their app. They're going to see you, and you're requesting a connection. They'll read the message or why you're requesting it, so you'll get a response. But if you don't, that's where the direct mail comes in. You can put together a a white envelope, right? You mark private and confidential on there, put your information in, send it directly to the name of the actual practice owner or the doctor, care of the practice, and stamp it with a stamp you get at Staples or Office Depot that says private or private and confidential or confidential. That way, no one can open it but the person you're sending it to. So you're getting your information to the right people who are going to make decisions. That's the shotgun approach, is get your information out as fast as you possibly can and keep doing this every single day. I will tell you, I got my first provider because he responded to me on LinkedIn. And we set an appointment, just communicating back and forth on LinkedIn. That was the practice I got in April. The second one I got in June was because they got a direct mail piece from me, and they went to my website and they requested an appointment for a practice analysis. And I called and set up the practice analysis. And that's how I got both my providers. I didn't spend a day in the car. I didn't go to one practice, step in one practice to try and talk to anybody. You have to get to the decision maker. So I'm a big believer in the shotgun approach. Get your information out there because you are going to trip across someone who needs you and understands they need you. But it's a numbers game. If
Yeah.
you're smart, not hard, that's the way I would recommend to do it. But don't neglect the direct contact marketing. Keep material in your car. If you're driving down the road and you see something that is a specialty that you're going after, pull in and go, but keep that white envelope in your car that says private and confidential. Look up who the practice owner is in your phone when you're in your car, fill it out, and then hand it, say, would you mind, I just stopped by to drop this off to Dr. So-and-so. Would you mind if he could get this from you? And they'll take it and they'll give it to them. They won't open it. So you're bypassing the gatekeepers. So it's a whole marketing strategy you have to come up with to be very proficient in getting your information in front of folks. And I will tell you, there's someone out there that needs your help. You're going to trip across people.
Yeah. Now, folks, if you were listening very carefully for the last 5 minutes as Jay was talking, you heard about 6 different proprietary marketing ideas that we teach our business owners. He picked up on those. I can tell he's used those, and that's why he's built his business as quickly as he has to the point he has. Jay, the hour is gone already. So I know I've got a couple of other questions here, but some of them are just related to the business and so forth. But one of the questions is from Pete. He says, is there a way to get a list of franchisees, he calls them, business owners, to speak to them? How do we get a hold of Jay? And Jay, I think you are on our reference list right now. Is that right?
I think, yeah, Adam has me on the list. Yeah.
Good. So folks, the way you do that is I'm going to show you here in just a second how to get a hold of your ABS representative and ask them for that list. They'll send it to you by email, and you're certainly welcome to call and talk to people like Jay and just pick their brains. So Jay, thank you so much for your time today. I'm really proud of what you've done with your business. I'm just amazed that you're at where you're at right now, income-wise and cash flow-wise with your business. And you just, I think you're really just doing the billing for one of the doctors just so you can tell your wife that you still do something.
That's right. Just keep myself busy a little bit every day. But thank you, Patrick. I appreciate you having me, and I appreciate everything ABS has done to help me with the business.
You're welcome. Hey, we're here to support you any way we can, so just let us know.
Yes, sir. Will do.
All right, so you want to turn off your webcam and be sure and mute your mic there before you start, talking to somebody. Hey, folks, you just heard from somebody who's been through the same thing you're going through right now. So if you'd like to talk to Jay, I'm going to show you how to do that here in just a second. Let me show you, let's see, can I put this slide up on the screen? Let me see if I can do this. I think it's this one here. Yeah. Now, folks, we do have a money back guarantee, by the way, the only company that I know of that does anything like this in the franchise/business opportunity field. People ask me all the time, how do we do that? It's because we don't have many people ask for money back because we do what we say we're going to do, and we have, well, the best business opportunity that's out there. So just ask your ABS rep more details about that. The training is done, as I said, folks, using the technology we're using today, GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, to actually do the training one-on-one. We have instructors who have been through our training, and in fact, these are certified medical revenue instructors. And they've also got a minimum of 2 years teaching experience and 5 years running their own medical billing business. That's right. These are business owners that we pay to actually do the training for new business owners like yourself. There are 10 modules right now. Each one's about 90 minutes, so about 15 hours of initial training. There are homework assignments for a deeper dive, and you can have one additional attendee, not just yourself, but one other person. They can be anywhere in the world, of course. They can log in and be on those live training sessions along with you. Unlimited questions. It's just you and the instructor, so nobody else to take up time. You are asking all the questions you want. After that, folks, you get lifetime support and access to our private licensee support site that I showed you a little bit out earlier. There's over 100 hours of additional learning modules on that site, and of course, dozens of forms and agreements and handouts and marketing materials that you can download. So that's all available to you as a licensee for your one-time licensing fee of, it's about $28,000. So just ask your ABS rep more about that if you haven't delved into that investment and what you get for it. Here's the certificate you get once you've gone through the training that certifies you as a medical revenue manager. That's by the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. And again, our support people are located on both coasts. We've got people in California, we've got people in Florida, we've got people all in between that are out there ready to support you in building your business as big or as small as you want it. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is order our research guide. Now, this is a 50-page PDF, 8.5 by 11, full color, that has all kinds of information that you won't even find on our website. So you need to be sure and get the research guide. Ask your ABS rep for that. If you don't know who that is, there's our phone number and an email address at the bottom of the screen where you can inquire who's my rep and how do I get that research guide. Secondly, be sure and go to our website out there on YouTube, youtube.com/whyabs. You see it right here. And go ahead and watch some other videos and interviews that I've done with people over the years there. Ask your ABS rep for that owner's reference list. This is the list of owners that Pete or somebody asked there earlier about. We'll be glad to send that to you. These are licensees or owners who've actually said, yes, I don't mind taking a phone call from people who are looking into the business. Then be sure and ask for a live demo of our platform, our cloud-based platform. Remember, our software is not on a CD, so we can't send something out in the mail to you, but we'll get on a meeting just like this with you and spend a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever you want to spend going through the actual software that you'll be using so you can see how easy, user-friendly it is and how, well, leading edge high-tech it is as well. Then the last step, of course, once you've done these things, is to schedule your training. Just lock in your first online training session with your instructor. Folks, this is the end of the year. I mean, we're in December already. And so most of our training spots are already taken up, but there are some open. You'll have to ask your ABS rep about that. We'll get you set up with an instructor, get you started as quickly as possible. And yes, you can get through this training within 30 days if that's what you want to do. A lot of people take longer than that. Some people take shorter than that. It's all up to you and how much time you want to put into the training. But it is available, and spots are limited, believe me, especially because everybody wants to get their business up and running before the first of the year.